You guys, it's Kristen Kish.
Likewise. Thank you for having me.
Oh my God.
Oh, thank you very much.
I have to say, watching you in the last season of Top Chef, I've never missed an episode of Top Chef.
Thank you.
Like since it started, and your season was so amazing. And when you got emotional, the best. And there's a new season.
Yeah.
But I had always loved you, but the moment I knew what an incredible human being you were was when you were talking to the finalists about the meal, and you made it so personal because you had been through it too. And the way you demonstrated emotionality, empathy, encouragement, relatability, I hadn't seen that on Top Chef in that way. Like those pieces weren't there for it to have that moment. And I was like, it was a human moment that how did you allow yourself to be that?
You know, I think there's a lot that could probably be tied to the fact that I had gone through it, which is a very, very, very small piece to why that was able to happen. But I also think it was just the entire course of my life has been about finding compassion for others, for myself, how to understand what empathy actually felt like, and not just like I care for you, but like I feel for you. And so I think it was just a combination of life and all the things that I had gone through up until that point, that even if I wasn't a competitor, and I never even stepped foot on Top Chef, and I didn't know what it felt like to compete, I just hope that the human factor of compassion and empathy still would have brought that out in me anyways, because you're watching someone change their life. Like in a moment, Top Chef changes people's lives. You are never the same from the first day you go on there. And I know that, but you don't have to be a former competitor to know that either. I don't think.
I think that really is what I discerned from that moment. Now, we actually wanted to go through your life, if you don't mind, through dishes. We've got the book, which is, you know, a very impressive, timeless, incredible way to tell one story, and very hard to do, whether it's the discipline of sitting down or getting into the truth. Maybe you're crying and laughing as you're writing
All of it, yes.
Yes!
Bawling my eyes out. I just did the audiobook, and I was crying through this chapter that I didn't even cry about while it was being written. But all of a sudden you're saying it out loud, and you've put some distance between it, and now you're a third person watching and telling your own story.
Did you allow that to be in the audiobook?
It's all in there.
Good.
Yeah, it's not running down my nose, crying, the whole
that's
thing.
What we want to hear.
Yes.
Okay, so you can listen to that and you can read the book, but tell me about number one.
Yes.
Because it has to do with Top Chef.
Right. So here's the thing with food, is we all have food memories and things that mark stories and moments in our life that will stick with us forever by the way something smells or tastes or feels or brings up just a really good feeling. Or depression, which I'll get to on that one, the orange creamsicles.
Which is so funny. It wouldn't have been the one I thought was, but I like that because it isn't always obvious.
So the spring pea soup is what got me on Top Chef. So if you've never seen Top Chef, there was this qualifying round where you had to cook something. And Emeril tasted my soup that I had made in 40 minutes or something.
Oh my God.
And he said it was one of the best soups that he's had in a very long time.
Oh my God, Kristen.
So it was a dish that changed my life. Truly changed my life. And I had never cooked for anybody in that, in that kind of upper echelon of chefs.
That type of caliber. Yeah. He's an icon.
Yes. I think part of my job as a chef is to create just one bridge of flavor that takes you just a little bit closer. So food isn't meant to disconnect us. It's meant to bring us all together. And by doing that, if I can capture just one thing that you recognize or feels familiar or that you love or you're interested in, all those different things, it just created a new memory for you.
Okay, what is dish number two?
Okay.
Gooey,
this is
yummy.
Probably one of my absolute favorites. So when I was 15, I got my first job in the mall twisting pretzels.
What was it was the cutest name, the pretzel
Twist
place.
and Shout.
Twist and Shout.
And I was when I tell you, like, there are things in this world that I don't think I'm good at. Twisting pretzels, I know I was good at. I took that dough and I was in the window with my visor and like my oversized shirt, and I was like doing the little twist and the bounce and the flipping it in the air. And on our break, we got 30-minute breaks, and you could make whatever you wanted and eat for free. And with the $7 an hour I was getting at the time, I was like, I'm going to feed myself a week's worth of food in this 30 minutes for free. And so one of my favorite things was a pretzel, and you dunk it in this like baking soda solution to help it brown. I sprinkled Asiago cheese, Italian seasoning, sent it through the little oven cooker, then you brush it with melted butter. And then, if that wasn't enough, I dunked it in nacho cheese sauce and marinara sauce. Oh, you guys, stop it. It is fabulous.
Okay, this is so good. Dish number 3.
Okay, so this one...
Oh, wait, no.
Oh, depression
Dish
drink,
number 3.
yes, okay.
Which is so funny because this looks like the happiest drink I've ever seen.
So we all have food memories that are tied to maybe something not so positive. Maybe you accidentally drank too much, and then whatever you had for dinner accidentally came up again, or maybe something was tied to a breakup. The thing is I was transitioning between, I was like my first year in college, I was going to a university studying something I absolutely did not want to. I was very much living in the closet. I'm gay, by the way. And I was like hiding this like, yes, yay gay. This is
the hottest.
But I was so tired of like feeling so low, and I didn't know how to get myself out of it. And I was in a true deep, like low point depressive state. And so I would go back home in college and I would sit in my parents' bedroom watching their little screens of television, and I would ball up like this in between the bed and this cabinet. I would unbutton my pants because this is uncomfortable around your waist.
I call it the Al Bundy.
Yeah.
Go on.
And then I would make orange creamsicle floats, and I would just crush them 3, 4, like one after the next. I loved them so much, and it got me through a really dark time, and I still love them to this day.
This is one of the best things I've ever tasted in my life. I love it so much. I see why maybe the optimism and sweetness of this drink was an antidote for... And I'm so glad to know that we can find something that can carry us through.
Yeah.
Okay, tell me about dish number 4.
Yeah, so dish number 4 is a dish that I created. It's on my restaurant in Austin.
This is so...
So this was one of the very first things I put on my menu.
I love mushrooms.
Yeah, and it's a simple homemade pasta, simple mushroom sauce that takes 4 days to make, but I swear it's simple. It's a lot of inactive time. But it was all stemmed from my love of Hamburger Helper. Who's had it? I mean, we all know what it sort of tastes like, right? It's salty, it's umami, it's fatty, it's like all the different things.
And was that a childhood staple?
So I grew up in Michigan, the Midwest, very much meat and potatoes, a lot of things out of boxes, like, you know, a humble Midwestern upbringing. And that, regardless of where I go in my career, my taste buds will remain in Michigan. Meat, potatoes, humble, like good food.
This is so incredible.
And this actually came, my chef shipped it in, or like flew it in overnight.
Oh my God, it's
today. Yes.
I love it. I want to motorboat it. It's so good. I love mushrooms so much. I grew up vegetarian in California in the 70s. Yeah. What you've done to it is art.
So it's a regular white button mushroom. We're not like talking fancy stuff. A regular white button mushroom that you de-stem, that you cook in the oven for about like 40 minutes at 350, releases all the moisture, starts to semi-dehydrate. Mm-hmm. And so it goes from this like plump white mushroom, and it shrinks down to about half the size. Mm-hmm. And then from there, once you dehydrate something, what does it want to do is rehydrate with whatever else you put into it. Reconstitute it with like thyme and aromatics and like beautiful stalks and heavy cream and a touch of vinegar. Like, it's just, you give it back all the love that it just leached out.
Okay. I mean, I feel like the luckiest person in the world. Okay, this dish, crepes.
Yeah. So there's, when we talk about food memories and happy memories, it is probably one of my favorite things. And it's because my wife's family, Macedonian, her mother, on her birthday, every single year while she was growing up in Australia, every morning there would be what they call pelichinke in their language. So they'd have pelichinke. And my wife would sit there and she would do a little fresh lemon juice and white sugar. Now, obviously, I didn't know my wife back then. On her 40th birthday, it was my very first time to go to Australia to her family's house. And so when you think about your partner or your best friend or someone that's been in your life for a very long time, I think it's really, really important and imperative that you track it all the way back to when they became a person, right? Like, she is my wife, and I know her from her 39th year in life forward. But all the things that happened in those first 39 years of her life that I never had the privilege of getting to know, like getting to experience her in those moments, seeing her transform back into like the morning she woke up on her 40th birthday and her mom had these on the table, like seeing that moment and reliving that memory with her, I think it just provides so much insight into your person that you think you know so well. But like, then you get to really know them on like this whole other level. And I got to see her for the person she was before me, because she was a person before me.
I feel like I learned.
I know, so with the crunchy sugar and the lemon, yeah.
You're so right. The sugar is giving it actual crunch texture, but like in a very micro granule, subtle way.
Yeah.
All right, well, we have to go to a quick commercial break. I don't want to, but the good news is we'll be right back, and we're going to share more memorable dishes and takeaways and all of it.